Welcome to the Regula Young Group's buyer series. In this episode, we are chatting with Chris Lange from Lange Law to talk about what are the final steps to get to possession. Hi, how are you guys?
Good, good. Thanks
I'm
for joining,
good. I'm good.
Chris.
So, when we get a fully accepted offer that is unconditional, our brokerage sends it to the lawyers like Chris, and and then Chris's office takes it away from there. So, what happens when you guys get the file, Chris?
Yeah. So in the lawyer's office, and every lawyer's office can be slightly different, but this is generally what the client should be expecting is once the offer goes to the lawyer, someone from the lawyer's office is going to reach out to the client, let them know that they have the offer, uh, and they'll start asking for a whole bunch of information. The
Right.
lawyer's going to want IDs. Depending on where they are, there may be a process to try to confirm that information. We're going to want phone numbers, email addresses, things like that. In the case that they're buying, uh, they'll probably want a void check depending on how they want to pay their property taxes, things like that. Uh, After just gathering some of that basic information, then what the lawyer is going to do is do the searches. We're going to look into title. We're going to pull tax information. We're going to look at permits depending on if it's in the city of Winnipeg, and we can use the search online for that purpose. Our office will pull a plan to make sure that the actual property that you're buying is the right one, and there's not some kind of extra little piece sitting on the side, which has happened.
Right.
Uh, so they're going to start going through those steps. For the buyers, though, what they're going to mostly be looking at is what do they need to do next to get the keys.
Yeah.
And for them, it's going to be one, as a buyer, they need to go get insurance. So they're going to have to go to their insurance broker if they don't have one. Wherever you get your driver's license, go there, or follow any recommendation I give you.
or me.
Yeah, go get that insurance. If you are borrowing money to buy the property, go to your bank. Don't wait for that process. Bankers go on vacation. You as a buyer will go on vacation. Don't leave it to the last minute.
Yeah.
That is typically the biggest reason why clients don't get their keys on time, and now why they're going to have a larger expense because they just don't get to the bank because they think they have enough time. Because the process works with the bank. Once you get approved with them, you still have to then go sign the loan documents.
Right.
Once you've signed the loan documents, then the bank is going to send what's known as mortgage instructions to the lawyer. Once we get those mortgage instructions, that's when the lawyer can now prepare the file, know what the bank requires for us to get the money, know how much the bank is actually providing to the buyer to buy the property, and then the lawyer can tell the buyer, well, how much money do you need? If you're pulling money from RSPs, as an example, you need time to get that money.
Right.
If it's 3 days before possession, the sad reality may be you're not getting possession.
Right.
So all these things happening as quickly as possible is best.
Okay.
Once it's at the lawyer's office should be trying to get you in as quickly as they can as well. And that's more so from a practical perspective, meaning we don't want you as a buyer leaving when we need you to sign.
Right.
Or something happens, or maybe something happens to the lawyer. I got 4 kids. My kids get hurt all the time. I have to go to the hospital.
Right.
I need to be available to sign. So the lawyer should be contacting you to come in and sign paperwork. Usually you're seeing that about 2 weeks before possession. If it's sometime in the summer, usually you're seeing that timeline very small.
Okay.
Simply because, one, the bank's usually backed up because they're busy, just
Yeah.
like everybody else. The volume is higher for everybody in the industry, and that time frame typically gets a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a problem because it happens all the time. It's just if you have summer vacations, it becomes problematic. So just arranging for that time to come in and get that signed is important. And our office will do things to go see you at your homes if you need it. So sometimes getting out to see the lawyer can be difficult. If you have, once again, having 4 kids, there's no free time at all. So if that's kind of a similar situation, making sure you're communicating with the lawyer's office as to when that can work and what's available. Is there evening appointments available? Can you get there before work? Do you have to take time off work? Just planning all that out, because it can become difficult, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
Yes, those are all good reasons or things to ask when hiring your lawyer or choosing your lawyer. Like most people, when I say, "Oh, I can recommend a lawyer," they're like, "Which one's the cheapest?" Right? Like,
Yeah,
how much are they? And they
People are
don't think
always-
about things
yeah.
like. And I'm like, "Well, this one's really convenient. This is what's going to happen here. This one you're going to pay for parking. This one you're gonna,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
This one you have to go downtown.
Well, price is always an interesting reason to pick any kind of service.
absolutely.
Because I
Yes.
think the concept for price often is you lower your price to get more clients, but that doesn't mean that you provide a service that's different
Yeah,
or better.
Right.
Or often, and I did this myself when I first started. I didn't want to be higher than someone else because I didn't have the ability or the reputation or the practice to be able to say, hey, I can do this well. So how do I get clients?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to be cheaper than everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a real world example of why I manipulated my prices to try to build a practice and get clients. So it's not always the best reason to choose a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in regards to cost, people always ask me, how much do I have to pay at the lawyers and what kind of things do I have to pay at the lawyers? Do you want just like
Yeah.
a quick rundown of that?
Sure. So if you ever have a chance to go to my website, there is actually an example on the website as to what those expenses are. Typically, what we advise everyone is that what you should expect to bring into the lawyer's office is about 2.5% of the purchase price.
Okay.
The majority of that goes to transfer tax, which after $200,000 is 2%, and then $1,600 before that. So you get
Okay.
a little bit of leeway there from that 2% going towards legal fees. But then you have disbursements. You'll have things like registration costs at land titles, not just the transfer tax, but the actual registration of the mortgage and the transfer.
Right.
You'll have standard disbursements, things like the courier charges or the cost to pull the title or the plan or the tax certificate. There'll be typically tax adjustments, which are the hardest one to give a general answer to, because the tax adjustment is essentially you as a buyer, do you owe money to the seller because they've overpaid their taxes? And then sometimes of the year as a buyer, you get money back because the seller hasn't paid their taxes yet, and you're going to pay the taxes for them when the taxes come due. So sometimes there's adjustments there where that 2.5% doesn't really pan out. But that's usually a good example of your closing cost, because 2.5% is a good estimate based on what the transfer tax currently is. And that's your biggest cost.
And that's including their down payment, right? Yeah.
That does not, well, that's just closing costs. So
Just
your down payment, for example, if your down payment's going to be 400,000, which is a huge down payment. I don't know why I went that high. But you're gonna add the
Who
you're gonna
has
add the 2.5% on the back of that. Or if it's 40,000 or if it's 10,000 or whatever it is, your down payment is in addition.
I always try to explain that to people, but I just thought it'd be better hearing it from you. So
yeah. A good way to put it is when I say the 2.5%, that's over and above your down payment.
with the bank.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, and I should specify that 2.5% is a guess. It's a ballpark. Could be a little bit less. Could be a little bit high.
Yeah. I feel like that's the industry standard for an estimate for that, though. Like I know that's what most of the banks are using as well.
Yeah.
To ensure that people have enough for closing.
If the banks are telling them.
They don't always tell them, but they always calculate it because they have to verify that they have the closing costs to give them their pre-approval.
I've had buyers be like, "What are closing costs?"
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just don't trust anybody. I tell them myself.
I know we're working on a estimator for our clients for our website where they can put in their purchase price, date of possession, and things of that nature, and then it'll produce a form that'll say, "Hey, here's what you anticipated being." So it can be a little bit more accurate than 2.5%. But until that's there, I'll suggest 2.5%.
And we will provide Chris's website in the remarks.
That is correct. Yeah. All about self-promotion. That's right.
What happens on possession day if something goes wrong, like funding delays or there's damage or?
Yeah, if there's, so a couple things. One, if there's a funding delay and you're getting a mortgage under the new contract, as a buyer, you should still get possession. There are implications now. So now it'll be you owe interest to the seller. So it's kind of, I don't want to call it a penalty, but that's what most people is going to see it as. So what you're going to pay them at a rate of bank rate, so whatever that may be, which is not the same as prime. So it's bank rate plus 7%.
Wow.
So it's a pretty high interest rate that you're paying each day that the money's delayed. You can also end up having to pay the costs of the seller if they should incur damages over and above that amount. Uh, Typically, you won't see that, but it's possible that they could have certain implications from that. When you're talking about damages or something I refer to as post-closing issues, usually if you have, what I advise clients is if you have an issue on possession where something's damaged, something's wrong, the number one thing you should do first is text the realtor.
Yeah.
The reason why you text the realtor is not that the realtor can resolve the issue, but it does two things. One, it creates evidence.
Yeah.
It creates evidence as to what was found, when it was found, and you've already been communicating with the realtor that way, so it's easy to do as well. The second thing is that the realtors are fantastic at resolving these issues amicably. If everyone's on the same page and if everyone wants to deal with it, and the seller feels bad or there's some issue or it's really just a misunderstanding, you guys will deal with it. You do a great job at it, and
but don't wait 3 weeks to tell us.
No, you want to address it right away.
Yeah.
By all means, if people aren't as happy about trying to deal with the issue, reaching out to the lawyer as well is a great idea. We'll start that process and start dealing with the other lawyer and creating that case or that argument to say, hey, we need to address this issue.
Yeah.
The other thing that has changed as well is that as a buyer, if you can get into that property at possession to be able to identify if there's substantial damage to the property, you can try to tie up this the process so that you're not stuck with a property that is damaged. So in the contract, if there's substantial damage that's caused to the property before possession that's not remedied, a buyer is supposed to be told, and the buyer gets the ability to either choose to get insurance proceeds if there are some, or back out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if they take possession of the property and the seller never told them of this damage, now the buyer has the ability to say, hey, there's been substantial damage to this property. Lawyers, stop this process and don't release the money, so that it gives the buyer some time to try to figure out what's going on, talk to the seller and figure out what rights they have and what rights they may want to enforce.
Right.
So getting in with an opportunity to take a look at those issues is important. So when we go to like possession in this contract, where now there's a set time of 6 p.m.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Okay, so that 6 p.m. possession is not required. Meaning you can change it. Everything in the contract you can change. But if you put it at 8 a.m., what the lawyers may do is, I, as a buyer's lawyer, will send over the mortgage funds to the seller's lawyer. All the money's over at the seller. The seller's lawyer could send all that money by 9 a.m. to the seller. Let's say you as a buyer have gone in at 8 a.m., you identify some issues at 9:30, and then you call the lawyer and say, oh, can you stop the money? Too late. Money's gone, it's out the door, and it's in the seller's hands. Do lawyers move that quickly? Maybe not. But if they do, then you lose the ability. So at 6 p.m. gives you an opportunity to go in at 6 p.m. The lawyers aren't open. They're not going to be open till the morning. So it gives you the evening to take a look around, to identify the issues. If you're not available to get there at 6 p.m., get there at 8. Get there at 7. Whatever it is. And it gives you an opportunity to check these things, get the message out, and can stop the release of those funds, which will happen the next day.
But then don't you pay interest
money out.
Like
No.
that? No.
So the reason you don't pay interest is that the money's at the lawyer's office, the seller's lawyer's office, the day of possession.
Okay.
But the lawyer can't release those funds until after possession, which is at 6 p.m. The banks aren't open, and the lawyer's office probably is closed at 6 p.m. So the money is actually not going to move until the morning.
Okay.
So it gives your buyer the ability and the time to look at those issues. So keeping a 6 p.m. time frame, even though, is the lawyer going to move that money that quickly? Maybe not, but I can tell you that we had a file on my desk on January 14th that was closing on the 15th for me to sign. I
Wow.
waited to the 15th because my staff was a little too quick, but it's possible.
Yeah.
And if someone's going that quickly, it could actually hurt the buyer, and they may lose the ability to enforce their rights. So a 6 p.m. time frame is important, and it's also important for them to get in on the possession date to identify if there is damage for that purpose.
Right.
So this is a little bit of a question I'm just throwing in myself, but what day of the week would you recommend for buyers to use for, and sellers, I guess, to choose for possession in terms of like, having the best ability to communicate with the lawyers and just timing?
Yeah. Well, look, I'd probably recommend that closings happen Monday to Thursday.
Okay.
That'd be my view. Reason why is if we're talking about delay of funds and how there's that higher interest rate that you pay. Let's say there's a delay in funds on Friday. Well, you're not going to end up paying 1 day. You're going to pay 3. So Friday is not a good day if something goes wrong or the funds aren't there on time or something of that nature. So a Thursday possession day avoids that issue where you're going to pay way more interest than you should. Also, there's always the possibility that you're not going to get possession on that Friday, and having the Thursday there or that Friday as a buffer also helps to resolve that issue of keys,
Right.
because it's possible that keys aren't provided on time. It's not common, but it's possible. Kind of goes into the same question of, well, when should they expect to move in? Well, whatever day they plan to move in, their possession day should be the day before. Like if they're planning to take Friday off to move in, possession should be Thursday.
Right.
Yes.
Because we just talked about the 6 p.m. time frame. If that's what's going to be standard and people aren't going to change that, well, if you're taking Thursday off and expecting keys early, well, that's not likely going to happen, and you just wasted a day. So having Thursday as your day when most people want possession Friday, well, that's what you're going to choose. You're going to choose Thursday. So I'm picking really the main work days because it allows for some flexibility if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
If there's some delay. And I don't care who the organization is or who the lawyer is. Sometimes things just are delayed.
Yep.
Yes.
Sometimes the mortgage funds don't come in on the day they're supposed to. And that's why the contract's drafted in the way it is, to account for that.
Yeah. And they often ask us, how do I get the keys? So
Sure.
I'll let
Yeah.
you.
So under this contract, that doesn't really change. When this one was amended, the keys will typically still be provided before possession, so before 6 p.m. My office, one of our standard practices is that as soon as we get them and we're able to release them, we contact the client to see if they want to come pick them up or that we're going to deliver it to them. The client is advised that even though they may be holding the keys, that they cannot use the keys until the date and time of possession, which is 6 p.m., because they could be arrested, could be a trespass, could be a lot of things. Who knows? The seller could still be there and they may have a big German Shepherd. And you walk into the house, who knows how that's going to end. So there's lots of reasons why you shouldn't use those keys until the date and time, and the clients are advised of that when they get the keys.
Yeah, there's been many times where the clients tell me that, oh, the lawyer said that you were dealing with the keys and I had no idea. So
yeah, so
that's
when you're dealing with some properties outside of the city of Winnipeg, it is typically the seller's lawyer will indicate that the realtor is going to address the keys. To your point, I don't know if the agent really knows that. They may not have been informed that they're dealing with the keys. So yes, it is more common when dealing with rural properties, and you can see how logistically that makes sense.
It does. I just wish they would tell us when we're supposed to.
Yeah, especially because it might be an hour drive for me, and I might be in Mexico, and now Denise has to go Sunday morning to figure it out. So.
Yeah, it's not a great system because the practice is slightly different from rural to municipal in Winnipeg. And it sometimes depends on what lawyer is dealing with it, whether the keys are available to them, whether they're brought in. It's a little bit of a, excuse the language, but crapshoot. Typically the practice is when we receive that information from the other side that they're not being provided, then a message is sent out to the agent saying, do you know what's going on?
Yeah.
Do you have the keys?
We ask
Yeah.
now. We know.
Yeah,
Now-
and then obviously you're the buyer's agent in that scenario, and it's the seller's agent who has the keys, who then have
Yeah.
to give them to you to give to the buyer. It's never a great scenario. So usually, what I recommend in those cases is we try to get the seller's agent to drop the keys off at our office, so that we
Right.
can give the keys to our client.
Yeah.
It's just I feel more comfortable providing the keys to the client, so we know what's happening with it.
Yes,
But
after being stung a couple times, I am in the habit of, when I see a lawyer in certain areas on either the buyer or the seller's side, I now contact and ask well ahead of time what's happening with the keys.
Yeah. I do
Yeah.
know, like in Portage, it's 100% the standard for realtors to deal with the keys.
Yeah,
But,
same
like,
as Steinbach.
Well,
But-
it doesn't mean I think the surrounding areas around Winnipeg, it is standard, and you can see because the offices for the lawyers are so distant, they just send digital documents or something by regular mail, and the keys are being provided. Well, presumably they'll let the realtors deal with it. I don't know. At least for my practice, I always have found it easier to just get the keys and then deal with them. So either that's the agent dropping them off, so I can give them to the client, or we get it from the other lawyer, which, as I said, in the city of Winnipeg, that's the standard. Say in Steinbach, it may not be.
Well, either way, we'll make sure they get their keys.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, for sure. That's if
Yeah,
there's one
that's right.
thing, if there's one thing that at the end of this process is the most important thing, is that the buyer gets the keys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's
And
the
if you're
whole.
not stressed about it, it would be nice too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get them the keys, and then from my perspective, you get them title.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the big
Those are
ones.
important things. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Make
If
sure
we can't get
everything
them
works.
keys,
That's on our end.
that's
Yeah.
right. If we can't get them keys, then yeah, we're scrambling for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for your help with all of this, and thanks for listening. If you find this helpful, please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks so much for watching.
All right. See you guys.